Skeleton Crew is finally out. How does it hold up as Star Wars' newest show? Bright Suns, everybody. Batuuboii here with a new episode and a new review for a new Star Wars show. I know it's been a while since my last review of the season finale of The Acolyte, but we have a new show out here, and we've known about it for a while. It was something that was all the talk during Celebration in 2023, and it is finally out. We now have gotten Skeleton Crew. This is a new Star Wars show by creators John Watts and Christopher Ford. John Watts, obviously notably known for directing the newest Spider-Man trilogy that was very successful and definitely jump-started his career, while Christopher Ford is known for a couple screenwriting credits, but most notably for Spider-Man Homecoming, the first of John Watts' Spider-Man trilogy. Well, here these two have come together to create a new Star Wars show that arguably has seen the community really join together to praise this show, which is amazing to see, and such a complete opposite reaction from what we have seen before with The Acolyte, where it was very divided. You had sides that truly enjoyed the show and those who completely hated it, but it seems that everything is all quiet on this front and that everyone is in agreement that this show absolutely rocks. I've seen it compared to Goonies. I've seen it compared to a lot of Amblin films or a lot of Steven Spielberg films and Robert Zemeckis films, so it's definitely scratches that itch of coming of age, kids being put into very peculiar predicaments. And speaking of kids, we do get to meet our main cast here, the kids being Wim, Fern, KB, and everyone's favorite Neil. I am definitely a member of Neil Nation at the moment. He is great. And so far, Neil's species is unidentified. I saw a lot of people before the show came out comparing him to Max Rebo and saying that maybe he's the same species, but he's not. They have confirmed that. So with this being a new Star Wars series, we do get a 2-episode premiere, and I definitely think that it benefited from having that 2-episode premiere. Just because this first episode, it is very exposition heavy and it's really building the world around you, because honestly, from first, if you were to just dive into this first episode, you would not really think you're watching a Star Wars show. Besides the fact that when it opens up, you're in space and there's a lot of pirates on a ship trying to take it over, and we see this masked captain promising everybody that they have found the treasure of a lifetime, only for it to be one single Imperial credit. He gets taken, and we kind of just jump back into our home planet titled At-Aten, which at first glance is very jarring. Like, you're used to Star Wars planets either being like looking like complete crap, so like Tatooine or like Mustafar, where it's very kind of like end of world looking or very apocalyptic, or you get Coruscant, where it's very high class. There's just this giant wealth gap among the galaxy, but really here you kind of get familiar with the middle class of society. It's very suburbia, which might be jarring at first, but I really like it. I think it looks really pretty and it feels very cozy, especially for this type of show that the Skeleton Crew is trying to be. And obviously we meet Wim, who kind of has his head in the clouds, which we love that, who is very interested in wanting to learn more about the Jedi and the Force. So that's kind of where we get our connection to that aspect of Star Wars. His best friend being Neil, who's his next door neighbor, that they like to play around with the idea of being Jedi and Force users. They even open up with like a nice little homage to like Vader versus Luke in the beginning. But we meet these two, and as they're on the bus on their way to school, we also kind of meet our other two main characters, being Fern and KB. Fern is a super cool kid who's got this super cool speeder bike that she's just kind of whipping through on her way to school. And she has her friend KB, who is a human girl, but always has this visor on her, kind of like an implant, but she's able to flip it on and off. So it's not, at first I thought she was blind and needed that to see, but I guess it's just some sort of implant that helps her kind of navigate her surroundings or see what's going on around her. Kind of leave it up to interpretation, but I'm sure we'll learn more as the show goes on. So in the first episode, like I said, it's very exposition heavy. We learn about Wim and his father's relationship, the father's name being Wendell. We know that it's just the two of them. The mother doesn't really have a story. I'm assuming that maybe she had died. Wendell is all about his work. He's an analyst for this planet, and he's just all very consumed in his work. He even leaves Wim alone and says that I'll be back in a week or so, and it's just, yeah, he's not very focused on being a dad right now. This first episode is mainly focused around them getting ready for their aptitude tests, which will determine what job they will be getting once they become adults. Obviously, Wim is like, I want to be a Jedi, and everybody's not really about that, so they kind of just shut that idea down. Fast forward a little bit, the turning point of the episode really comes to when Wim stumbles upon an entrance. He just finds a door. We don't really know what this is. He doesn't know either, but he convinces Neil to come with him to go and open this door. There was a scene earlier that gets Wim and Fern to meet as well. They get put into detention and kind of link up through that. And through here, they all kind of come together as Fern and KB also want in on this action and want to see what's behind the door. They find a way to open it, with KB actually able to kind of get through the code and open the door. Wim, assuming that this is some sort of Jedi temple, there's, skeletons and dust everywhere. It looks very much abandoned, but come to find out that this temple is actually a starship, and it's my favorite part, and it's such a great way to start off this adventure when Wim climbs into a cockpit and Fern tells him don't touch anything, and obviously there's this glowing green button that is just begging to be pushed, and we hold on that shot of Wim looking to push it, and he just kind of gives it just a little tap, and it ignites the ship. The power turns on, it comes up, and it starts moving. Obviously, with Wim being gone in the middle of the night, Wendell has gone out to try and find his son and comes to find a giant starship rising through the forest and his son dangling out of it, which is terrifying. But ultimately, he's okay. They climb back into the ship, and the ship goes away now, and as it's climbing up into the atmosphere, it's breaking through what they keep calling the barrier, and how they can't venture off across the barrier, which I'm sure they'll get into in more episodes as to what's going on with that. But we get this really nice shot, and I think it's the best ending to a Star Wars episode of anything, like at least the television series, that we have seen in a while. It's very unique as they ignite the hyperdrive on the ship, and as they are screaming, the ship from behind jumps into hyperspace, and we're just left with a scene of just the stars, as literally the dust has come off of the ship, and we just get directed by John Watts. And it is such an amazing, I was literally just gasping wow when I watched it. It's such a cool way to leave you engaged and wanting so much more when the new episode comes out, which we dive into immediately. And I'm sorry, I haven't even said the title of the episode. So these titles versus Acolyte are also pretty long, like they're not just one words like we got in the Acolyte. Episode 1 being This Could Be a Real Adventure, so obviously being just an opening to what you should be expecting going into Skeleton Crew. And I really think it's more of an introduction, as episode 2, titled Way, Way Out Past the Barrier, directed by David Lowery, is really when we get to the nitty gritty of what this show is actually going to be. As we are in the ship now, the kids are screaming their faces off because obviously they'd have no idea what it's like to be in hyperspace. And it's awesome. I loved everything about it. as, they're trying to figure out like what's going on the ship, just trying to figure out a way back home. And as they're doing so, in the previous episode, they came upon a decrepit droid, but it never really turned on. Now it has, and it has climbed into the cockpit and is asking where the captain is. I already love this droid. One, his name is SM33, which, if you spell it out, is literally Smee. So a nice little nod to Peter Pan and being the first mate as he is looking for his captain. Fern takes up the reins and says that I'm the captain. SM33 agrees, and we now get a little bit more into like what he is. It seems that his memory is locked in place, as he's not entirely sure. I kind of like to think that he's kind of like Dory in this moment, that he kind of has short-term memory loss. He's always repeating himself, but he is not aware of the current situation at large. It's just mainly like what he is looking at in front of him as he sees these children, and he just automatically believes that Fern is the new captain of this ship. SM33, voiced by Nick Frost of Shaun of the Dead, which is great. He does such a good job, and honestly, he has quickly become one of my favorite droids. I guess I'm a big sucker for like those giant Imperial looking droids like K2SO, so I'm all about it. As they try to figure out how to get back to At-Aten, which SM33 has not heard of, apparently, he suggests that they go to this spaceport to get more resources and a map to find their way back home. This spaceport is chock full of kooky characters, droids, other species of aliens, and other humans as well, which is great. It's what I loved about the Acolyte, but now we get it in a more fun setting, because I also really like pirates. I love Pirates of the Caribbean, and just this premise and this atmosphere feels so at home with Star Wars, because we're kind of straying away from the Jedi, the Skywalkers, and all of this, and we're getting into like the nitty gritty, like the kind of sub level of what Star Wars is, and it's fantastic. So now that they're exploring this spaceport, we get a scene that's pretty pivotal to push forward the story, where Wim and Neil go to get some food. The bartender asks them to pay up, and earlier in episode 1, Wim's dad gave him some lunch money, which were these golden Imperial credits, and he uses one of those to go and pay for his lunch. And the bartender is kind of blown away, because he has apparently found a very rare form of currency in these normal Imperial credits. Asking where he got them, these other pirates around the bar kind of start to storm the children. They begin to run away. As they're getting chased, SM33 fights them off in this really cool fight sequence. He has like a little shield and trying to fend off all of these attackers. He gets electrocuted, and we meet one of our main antagonists. His name is Brutus. He is a Shistavannan member of the pirates under the name Silvo, who we don't really know who he is at this point, but he's essentially this giant wolf guy, and he looks absolutely amazing. We also meet Gunter, who is also a part of Brutus's gang, played by Jaleel White of Urkel fame, which is awesome. I love to see him anything outside of it, and I'm glad that he's getting his foot into Star Wars. He sends them pretty much to the brig. It's here. The children are now caged in, and we leave a key on the wall, and as they're trying to figure out what are they going to do, how are they going to get back home, they meet this mysterious stranger in the shadows. He's kind of covered up in a hood. He's promising that he can help them and that he can get them back home. When they ask him, well, how are you planning to get out of this cage? We see him extend his hand out and use the Force to grab the key off of the wall and get it into his hands. Obviously, Wim is all for this guy, because he instantly thinks that this guy is a Jedi, ending with, "You're a Jedi," and this mysterious stranger saying, "Can you keep a secret?" And the episode ends from there. Such a good 1-2 combo from these episodes to really just give us an aspect of who we are going to be going on this adventure with, and then opening up the world more to see what we are going to be experiencing or what we should be expecting from the rest of the show. And I think it's absolutely incredible. I am so excited to see what else is going to be coming out of this show. So make sure to just stay tuned for more of these reviews for Skeleton Crew. It seems that these episodes are coming out every Tuesday. I will obviously be watching them as they come in, and I will give you my takes and more on those. So let me know what you think. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave it down in the comments as to what you thought about Skeleton Crew. But until the next episode, always again, thanks for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I know it's been a while since I have been posting. I've kind of been on a hiatus. Things are going on in life that have been changing. So I want to thank everybody who has stuck with me through that, but more content is on the way for sure. So as always, and will be, till the spire, my friends.